Welcome to the Morningstar Podcast, a space for real conversations and shared experiences. Together, we'll explore the ideas and stories that inspire, guide, and connect us all. Let's get started. The Morningstar Podcast discusses topics related to recovery, addiction, and mental health, which may be sensitive for some listeners. We are not medical professionals, and this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice or treatment. Listener discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody. We just like to welcome everybody back to our Morningstar podcast here. We're down here in Bismarck again at the Clyde Baker MHA Recovery building here. We just want to say thank you, first of all, again. You know, we've been hearing a lot of good reviews, I guess, and good support from the community so far. We're about I think we have 4 or 5 episodes live so far, and KMHA's been a good partner, and they've been playing our episodes. We have our Facebook page, we have our TikTok is live, and also our YouTube. And so we just ask everybody to try to give us a follow. If you see our videos on Facebook, if you guys can help and share our videos, we sure appreciate it. And so this morning here, we have our Sober Living staff with us. We have Tiffany Dickens, Justin Baker, and Francis Oldrock. We're excited to have them on the podcast here. We want to talk about the sober living. We want to hear about the mission of the sober living. We want to hear about for somebody that's in the community that might have a family member that's in need, or they might have a family member that has come through the services here. We just want to hear all about the sober living program. And so if maybe somebody can start out and talk about maybe how it got started.
So Sober Living started, the Sober Living program started in 2017 in Phoenix. I had just gotten sober. I had moved down to Phoenix with my family, and I was staying with Jarrett Baker. Jarrett had a guest house, so my wife and I were living there, and I was kind of helping Jarrett transport some MHA members that were just starting to come down to Phoenix for treatment.
Okay.
And so I was kind of doing some recovery coach stuff, very, volunteer, you want to come with me. And we started going to Native American Connections, and there was some MHA members there who were receiving services, and some of them were relatives, and they had transitioned. So we kind of built that relationship. We started singing, and then they transitioned out into Sober Living. And then we were just kind of stopping in and visiting with them. And some of they were basically, what it came down to was Jarrett was paying their rent through the tribe, and they were kind of taking advantage of the tribe. And so we got together, myself, Big Man, and Big Man and Scott Baker got together, and it's funny. I just found the email. Big Man or Scott was recording our meeting, so we have our first ever meeting that we had.
That's cool.
And we were discussing, like, where should we put this Sober Living? Let's put it near an Alano club, so meetings are easy to get to. Let's put it near a bus stop. All those notes were included on it, and with the support of Jarrett working for chairman and the support of chairman, we got the green light to go look for a house, and that's kind of how it started.
Cool. You guys still have that, or that first Sober Living house is still in Arizona too, ain't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Still there, still operating.
And then you guys named one after Scott here too, right?
We did. Yep. I think it was our second house we opened in Bismarck. And who was it that said, let's name it Scott? Was it you, right?
I think it was Jarrett. So it just came up, and and it just felt right, and it was, it's an honor. A lot of people question that, but I think it's an honor, because of the thing we're facing. It really is to carry on the legacy of Scott and what he did in those early days, because he was really, what do you call it, officey, or he really cropped the real technical. He had UA cups and professional.
He was a scientist.
Yes, he was a very intelligent man, and he just kept us. He was doing things that we're doing today. It just laid the foreground for what's happening. It was really.
Yeah, I think we officially laid to rest his incident report this morning. Like we officially, he was the. He did everything. He created documents. Like I said, when we had our first meeting, he made sure to take notes on our meeting, and he published those notes and
the minutes or whatever.
The minutes, I have the
That's
minutes.
cool.
I want to get that framed and hang it up, actually. But yeah, Scott's house was it was an honor to be able to do that, to be able to honor him like that, and like Big Man had said, there was some, why would you name a house at, I don't know if that's even what we're talking about, but it's a reminder that what we're up against, we're up against a fatal disease, and people, which we've been dealing with for going on 8 years, we're going to lose people. And Scott was a big loss for us. Not just as Sober Living, but as a community. He's my uncle, as a family member. And he played such a pivotal role in where we're at today. We have to honor that.
And so the tribe was sending our relatives down to Arizona for treatment. And then we got the first Sober Living mail. Was it mail?
For sure.
Just mail down there
Just mail,
in Arizona. And then can you guys talk about the progression of how it went from Arizona to in-state now, or to Bismarck and to the tribe?
So we always had, we always approached Arizona with an expiration date. Like that was we had a mission down there. Our mission was to learn everything that we can while we're down there, because Arizona has, I think, 50 or 60 years of dealing with Native American communities and drug and serious drug addiction, right? Like heroin, like the real drugs, because they're right there on the border. Cartels putting them in their communities, using their communities as a jump off point. Like, so they have that experience, and they also have the experience of working with nothing. We weren't down there to try and reinvent. We were not trying to reinvent the wheel. A lot of our stuff that we developed over time, our base, they were our base, right? So we had an expiration date. Our plan was always bring it home. So we had the opportunity to come home. We came home. Good Road was was in a crawling stage. So we integrated with Good Road. Big Man actually came home first. Big Man, I want you actually. Your story is a little bit cooler than mine, or he was the first one to really come home and start hitting the ground running and he hit the ground running when he came home.
Right. Hit the res like a bomb.
Talk about it, Big Man.
Yeah, no, I got done, stayed a year, a couple days or whatever it was. Learned just a beautiful thing. And I came home. I don't know if I'll highlight a little bit, but I got home and I was sitting in a meeting, a coalition meeting. Back then they had the coalition. And what the chairman was trying to do is you're trying to get all these entities together in one room so that we could better communicate and and work better with the community. And so I was sitting there, and Jared had a fantastic idea. He had us all come in and share 5 minutes of our story to all these big shots. And as soon as that happened, didn't something just happen to them that you could tangibly see? Okay, this guy was one way now. Just the illness and the recovery, the change. And as I was sitting there, and they asked me for some input. I can't remember really what I said. And the chairman was like, he goes, "Well, when you get home, I got a job for you." And so I got to I became the first recovery coach. And you were the first person that I met. I went around all the AA meetings, just as to check it out. I remember Dom came with me and you, and we sat up on Crow's Flies High.
Crow's Fly High.
Yeah, and we dreamed, and we talked about it, and we shared, and we You know, and started out just like that, 3 or 4 of us just
I
walking
think
around.
Big Man sang a song up there too.
Yes. You know, so, but he gave me the recovery coach job.
Yeah.
And then when I got back, I remember I had to fill out my own. So I was stationed at a partial resource center.
Okay.
I said, well, I'm in partial. It's a hub. It's the only sober place. Can I? And Sandy Folden, the director then, was so gracious.
Yeah.
She's like, absolutely, come on in, and you can use our facilities if you need meetings or whatever. And so I was the first recovery coach for a while, and did all that. And we set up meetings. Scott was here. We starting meetings at the Healthy Skins, and I remember we had noon meetings, and Tiffany was also involved in that. I remember I was trying to get all the factions of sobriety, the well-briety people, the Bible church, faith-based, and I had 5 different people that were in different functions, you know, and that is what we do today. Like if someone comes to us, they say, well, I want to be like this. Well, here you go. We got someone just for that. And, you know, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Anyways, and then 18 months sober, Sandy was going to retire, and she asked me to be, or I was sitting in a meeting, whatever, and when one of the guys said, well, why don't you apply? And I remember thinking, nah, I'm 18 months sober. I don't really, they're going to hire me. I was shirtless like a year ago, walking around town, and they encouraged me. And so I filled out the application. I walked in, I gave it to Sandy, and Sandy said, we've been waiting for you, right? And I did 18 months sober, holy smokes, you know. I didn't know what was going on, but they put me in, and then I met, of course. And I've always been close. So what we did is we took all the sober living rules that we had, applied them to the solution, a couple other things, and then we opened the first sober living was partials.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the sober lodge. I used the logo, and instead of MHA, I put PRC. You know, and so we just adopted all that. Always stayed in contact with each other. Always stayed in emails and phone calls, and the mission never changes, right? To try to help, help. But yeah, became the director, and it was a wonderful experience. So, and then
Yeah, so it was it was exactly what we were hoping, you know, that not that we're reinventing recovery or building some empire or anything. We just, again, 50 years, 60 years of experience down there, and the support, because of course we've got the support of our tribal leaders, and that's what was so beautiful about it, was having that support, you know, and how could we do it better? And I remember leaning on Big Man. I remember, hey, send me your policies, and then so we were always consistently, you know, just taking and with the core foundation, you know, which we all utilize in and out, based on that, and we got a house, right? I think it was a cousin of mine actually called me and said, hey, do you know there's a program that has a house? I think they're trying to find someone to get it. Like, it was just this random conversation with one of my cousins. And so I called the director of that program and said, do you guys have a house, empty house? And she said, yeah, we have an empty house out at Lincoln. And we took over the house, and we jumped out of a window with some house managers who were just maybe 3-4 months sober, because we didn't have anyone. And one of them, I think, celebrated 4 years or 5 years of sobriety, and the other one's still sober. And it just kind of, we need more beds, we need more, and it just kept growing. So yeah, we're up to 10 houses today, and I like to say we're national because we have a house in Arizona. You know, and we're off the res and we're on the res. You know,
I remember that time, and I remember it because I was back up in Newtown, and I remember when you guys were coming home, or I remember being aware of guys being in Arizona, and then, you know, you guys start to come home, and, you know, we had recovery, like, you know, the full program, I guess you could say, you know, the traditions, and then being practiced, and the steps, and the sponsorship, like the whole thing. We had Mark Skibsrud, you know, God rest his soul, the late Mark Skibsrud, and the Thursday night AA meeting. But like, it just felt like when you guys were coming home, you guys were bringing a different, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you guys were like, down there's meetings every single day, all day long. And you could find a sponsor or find a sponsee, like, just by accident, you know. But up on the reservation, we didn't have that. And it felt like when you guys were coming back, you guys were bringing all that with you, you know, and applying that to the sober living homes and just bringing that vibe, you know, that, and because remember back then in 2017, 18, 19, you know, it was the recovery community was just getting started. And so when you guys were coming home and these homes were getting started and here in Bismarck and Partial, it was like, you know, it's, you know, I can't stress it enough. It was like, it was, in the time, it felt like it was like a movement, you know, and it was needed. And at that time, it was like, you know, the kind of the end of the boom and drugs and the whole epidemic and nothing is being done. And like Big Man said, you know, the tribe was trying, and there was, you know, they formed the coalition. And fast forward now, you know, you mentioned, you know, you guys started with the Lincoln home in Bismarck, and then where has it gone from there? You know, kind of coming forward some more, because I know now we have some female homes now too.
Yep.
Can you touch on when the female homes started, or?
So when I got here, it was just Scott's, right? Or I wasn't managing any houses, or I've never managed a house, I should say, supervising any houses.
So Big Man called, said,
Right.
I got the, you know, and I seen Tiffany in the rooms, right? I've seen her in some, we started this. I just want to, it's funny how, like, you know, this works, but, and he had her, and she was just, you know, I got this awesome, you know, he's bragging her up all the time. And Jarrett called me and it was like, hey, you should try and get Tiffany Dickens. I think she's looking for a job. So we
Right.
hit, you know, like, yeah, let's get Tiffany up here. So we got Tiffany up here, and she started as an admin assistant, and she grew into helped. She didn't just do admin assistant stuff, and that in the beginning it was so wild. Like when we first, it was wild. Like we were doing all the. At this point, we were intake, we were point of contacts, and we were sober living. Like we were doing all those duties at the same time. And so she came in, hit the ball running, and helped as much as she could, and helped. She started to help form what we were doing too. Like she was formulating some plans. She was like, "We should do this," and started showing those leadership qualities immediately. So and we did have the opportunity to get a house, and it just made sense. Like she's a true leader, you know. So
And it was kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I guess since I got here, it was just, I was willing to do whatever, you know what I mean? Like willing to help wherever I could. I think my thing coming to Bismarck was I was coming to go to school, and then in the process of that, I got, you know, the opportunity to do some admin work, and then like JB said, you know, it just kind of went from there. I remember being up at Good Road for maybe a month or two. I can't remember, just sitting in an office, just waiting to have something to do, and then get moved down to Scott's. And then by then, I believe that we had the Anani house, the women's house, and it was sober living altogether. I mean, it's always been sober living altogether, no men or women or whatever. And yeah, like he said, I just, you know, got the opportunity to be able to help guide some of the women. For me personally, I've never been in sober living, so I was kind of like standoffish, like I can't, you know, tell these guys what to do or, you know, how to live. I don't have that experience. But just being in Scott's house, you know, our office was in sober living, you know, so I got to see it every day, experience, you know, what the guys are going through, and be able to help them adjust through whatever it was. And then also, you know, at PRC, you know, we had the sober living there. We started off there, and it was kind of cool, you know, like what they're talking about. Like they found something that worked in Arizona, brought it back up here, and then we just implemented from there, you know, and that was the coolest thing. It was, and there's been like so many, there's been ups and downs, you know, we find things that work, and then, you know, we find things that don't work. I think we're constantly changing with sober living, you know. It's just, you know, finding, a solution that works for all of us, you know, being back on the res, being here in Bismarck, taking what we have here, building it, taking it home. And yeah, so, I mean, there's really no separation as far as, you know, the men and the women. It's just, to me, it's like, you know, it's pretty cool to be able to help wherever I can. It all stemmed from the guys, really.
Yeah, I remember when I first came on as a POC, and I remember pulling up to the house and you guys had, that was your first office there. It felt like you were walking into like the dang, what do they call it? Like the bullpit or
Right.
the, you know, you guys had whiteboards and there's the plump full of desks. There's no more room. It seemed like there's not even any standing room in there, you know? And you guys were just like, that was like the hub or something, you know, to see where it's at now. So how many female houses are there now? Can you?
We have 3 female houses. We have
In
one up
which
here in Bismarck.
segments? Okay.
Yep, one here in Bismarck, Anani. We have the Sonish Healing Lodge in Whiteshield, and then we have Cherry Blossom in Newtown, and hopefully another in Forebears, summertime,
Okay.
fall time.
So altogether, there's
3 women houses and 7
7
men
men's.
houses.
7 men's. Holy cow.
Yeah.
But does 11 includes Arizona, right?
Yeah.
So 8 men houses, 3 female houses.
Okay.
Yeah. It's we didn't hem and haw about it. When we first got here, Healing Hearts was here, and there was 20 some beds, 20
Right, true.
20 beds. So I think that was one of there were some things that at the time my boss Jarrett were some priorities, and that was, let's get Healing Hearts open, let's get people in Healing Hearts. So when we came home, more or less the women's situation was taken care of. When we focused on men's and getting the men's open, and then the hardest part about opening a sober living is for us, even, you know, it's the staff, you know, and it was, we didn't really have a lot to pull from for women, because basically to make a house manager, you got to be, we want a year out of you, you know, no, you know, I'm not going to say no family, but no children, you know, that you can give us that year, and you could, you know, it's a move-in position. It's 24/7, you know, 7 days a week. So it was tough, even when we got Inani open, to get it
Right.
staffed.
Well, and even so too, like when, like you said, the movement, right? Like when everybody started, you know, finding a solution and wanting to be sober, there really was not a need for like the women's list compared to the men's list. You know, there was a list of guys that needed a place, and that's just kind of, I mean, it just kind of happened the way that it did, though. I think it happened perfectly. You know, we had, like you said, we had the Healing Hearts Lodge, and then we had the Anani house, and it wasn't a full house, you know, but the guys, you know, they were crammed into Scott's, and we just needed more houses for the men. And, you know, now it's, you know, I think it's still kind of steady the same way. Like I feel like I see the men's waiting list longer than what the women's are.
The growth and the needs, you know, kind of happen naturally, and you guys have just met those needs and been strategic about where to, you know, where to start a new home, and you know, and how to staff it properly and as properly as possible, and policies and all that stuff. Anything else you guys want to add to of the growth of where the sober living homes have grown to now that the community might not be aware of?
Yeah, we're working on currently working on behavioral health, supportive housing.
Oh yeah, okay.
Our need for that. It seems like daily we're struggling to find placement for is it dual diagnosis co-occurring, mental health and substance abuse, and we're having to outsource a lot of that. You know, we're having to send them down to Indiana, we're having to send them down to Arizona, and again, when we were down in Arizona, our plan and our plan still is, our mission is still that there's an expiration date on that we want to be able to do all this ourselves, you know, and also be sustainable. So we had a gift and a curse, because when they did this expansion up at Good Road, there's the state limits how many beds a facility could have, and our leadership, Dr. Joy and Jared and the tribal council have been working trying to get this waiver so that we could have more than 16, but it's just been a long process.
Yeah.
been told, I think, up to 3 years that we could be waiting for this. So we have these cottages that are going to be completed hopefully soon. I think they're behind a little bit, but the plan is that we're going to take over 16 beds at these 32 beds actually. We're going to take over an old cottage at Good Road and the new cottage, and Good Road will take over the existing cottage and a new cottage, because there's going to be 4 total, 16 in each cottage. So we'll have 8. We're going to start out with 8 male and 8 female. Behavioral health. It's a supportive housing. It's not a facility. We still are still a sober living, a supportive housing unit, and we'll be able to, because what we've been doing is we've been putting, I always say jumping out of a window. We jump out of a window because these are our relatives and they have nowhere to go. And I can never forget what Chairman said. Mark said in a meeting one time, in one of these coalition meetings, they were talking about how much, when do we stop? When it's costing this much and that. And I just remember Chairman saying, you can't put a price on life, And so we're doing our best to try and place these guys. But a lot of times we're placing our staff in danger. We're placing other guests in danger by placing some of these individuals in our houses. So that's our hope. Coming soon is this behavioral health supportive housing unit that'll be up. I don't want to say unit. Behavioral health supportive housing. Hopefully April or May, we'll be opening it up. And it has the ability to have 16 in each. We're going to start out with 8 and 8. We have some staff already. It's going to generate some revenue. It's going to make one of my big goals that was given to me by my boss and by the council was to be sustainable. We want to be able to be sustainable, and this will help us meet that goal. Where we can be sustainable and maybe even generate some revenue.
Yeah. Okay. We've talked about kind of the genesis of where this started and a little bit about how far it's come and some of the outlook, future plans. Can you guys touch on some of the expectations, I guess you could say, of the guests, for someone that they don't understand a thing about sober living or what someone's expected to do? Like, someone goes to inpatient Good Road, or they might go to, Amity in Arizona, or they might go to Keystone, or, and then if they get to the point of getting ready to take that next step into a sober living, if they decide to come here, what's some of those expectations? Or maybe that's not the right word.
So
or
like our mission, right? Like our mission at Sober Living.
Yeah.
What is our mission?
Yeah.
It's just to provide a safe and healthy, drug-free place for individuals to be able to get back on their feet, basically. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And so what's that look like?
Rules?
Because right. And so what's the rules?
Structure?
Because some people might be like, well, you need to get a job, so go to sober living. Or some people might think, well, it's cold outside. You got no place to go. What's I know the main thing is to stay sober, but maybe there's something else there. You guys?
I would say, if I can be honest, I think our expectation of somebody coming into sober living is somebody who wants to be sober.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, because there are individuals that come in checking the boxes, EDO'd, court ordered to be here, don't want to be here, but they are checking the boxes. So we do have. I would say my expectation is somebody coming into sober living that wants a different way of living, a different way of life.
Yeah.
Right? And it takes structure. It takes following the rules, and applying them to their everyday life. And I always like to stress and say to my girls is that you signed the rules. You're aware of the rules. There's curfew. We do expect you to get a job. Some people come in and they're still in aftercare. We have meeting expectations.
We want you to actively participate in the saving of your own life.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
It's your recovery, not ours. We just ask that you show up.
Yeah, we call it a earn your bed.
Okay.
Yeah, like our earn your bed motto. There's people that want to be in that bed. There's people that are waiting in line. So what did you do today to earn your bed? And it and like Tiffany said, there's a lot of structure, when I went into sober living, and I don't know if I can say this or not, but I didn't even know how to wipe my own ass, you know what I mean? And sober living, it taught me that. There was, I was so used to people coming up behind me and cleaning up after me. In sober living, you got to earn your bed. And then this active participation in your recovery, we provide that as well, like
Accountability. Hold
and
yourself accountable. We'll hold you accountable too.
Good. Yeah. And I agree. And I love to hear that. And I agree. Just being in recovery myself too, all these expectations that you guys are talking about, the reality of life, that's all going to hit as soon as you're done. So I think that's really important. You guys do a really good job with that. Can you guys talk about what's been some of the struggles you guys have seen? Just whatever that means to you. Some of the struggles you guys have seen. Is it dealing with the guests, or maybe the community, their perspective, or what's something you guys are working on right now?
The biggest struggle that we deal with, I think, on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, I don't want to say it's ignorance. I hate that word, because then I'm putting a label on someone. So I don't want to say it's ignorant. It's just a lack of knowledge of what it is exactly that we do, in sober living, and what some of the outcomes can be, and what it takes for us to get there. Like, it takes a lot of work for us to get there. We are a community. I mean, it says it, in our vision, it talks about getting back into our community, but not just getting back into our community, but helping that community. So it takes a lot of community involvement. It takes a lot of, everyone on our block's aware of what we do, and maybe they're not, but part of what we do when we establish a new sober living is we make them go down the block and knock on some doors, and like, we're available, we're here, we can help. But I still get a random phone call or from a community member that might be upset. We with our application process, we do a pretty intrusive background. We're aware of what you've done. We have some limitations on who we can accept, and those are limitations that I've set. Those are limitations that our council has set. Particularly sex offenders and multiple violent offenders. Like repeat violent offenders, we just can't. Because we want to keep the community safe, and we want to improve the community. So I don't want to put the community in danger. So making the community aware that we do that, and that's something that we do. And my phone number, 898-8997. I'm available to answer any questions at any time. And I have to answer my phone, because I don't know who's calling. You know what I mean? So I get scammed about 3 times a week because I'll answer my phone. But I'll answer those phone calls and have those discussions as best as I can. But also another struggle that we have is employment, getting people employed too. And it's just a lack of knowledge of, what it is that we at Sober Living do, right? We're not a facility. We're not Good Road. We don't provide treatment services.
Okay.
We provide a safe, sober environment, so these guys can go out and be active in their recovery. That's what we do, And so we deal with the hiring process, and it's tough because, like, we're like on the employment side, we're like a social development program. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way I like to look at it. Like, we take individuals off the street who couldn't string 2 days together sober, and we put them in touch with something that can help them stay sober for a while. And then, maybe we're going to make you a house manager, and you're going to volunteer for a bit. Maybe you become a good house manager, and you learn how to use a computer, and you get some credibility and some trust. And then you're interested in moving on. And, we try and put in good word with some of our other programs, point of contacts or Good Road, and try and get them there. And so we've seen this entire evolution of individuals who came in with a bag, literally. And my brother's a great example. He's a shining example of what MHA Sober Living can do. I'm an example of what Sober Living can do myself, And so I guess getting the community to understand that our whole purpose is to improve on our communities, to give back to the same communities that we've robbed blind and improve on them. So we're struggling.
Right. So I think it's safe to say their biggest struggles is rules, people not agreeing to them, and then the stigma of addiction and alcoholism, right? And then having to, like you said, be able to regain, like, hey, like, people can change, right? Like, we see it all the time, and that's the biggest thing. People come in, like you said, with a bag, or some people come in with nothing. People come in from jail, people, with nothing. And I think in front of us, we're all examples that, like, people do change and people can change, but we just keep showing up. We keep, like you said, we send them down the street, we send them down the road, we throw them out in the community to be of service, to we call them making amends, right? By giving back to our community from what we took from, robbed from. But yeah, I think those are the biggest struggles, is that the stigma of addiction, that, not everybody's a loser or a dope fiend and, a criminal. It's like, no, these people can actually make a change and make a difference.
I think there's a powerful thing to see one of your own.
Right. Right.
I mean, see a guy come in and he's like, hey, I used to
Right.
do the dirty with that guy. I got to look at him. He's not even the same guy anymore. I think there's something powerful to save our own people.
Right.
All of us. And it's such a beautiful thing. We've all taken a little bit different path.
Right.
We're on the same road going in the same direction, but it's, take your pick, So it's a wonderful thing to be a part of. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I was asking that. Is for you guys to kind of define how you guys operate. Like we said, just to circle back around. If you go to Good Road, or just not even Good Road, just any residential clinical setting, it has its own purpose. It has its own time and how they address this addiction and working with the individual. And then once you go through that part, then Sober Living has its own.
Right.
So there is a separation there, and there's a different approach to it. And just like you said, we know that some, we our relatives are just a person that struggles like we have. A lot of times people have never had any structure their whole entire life. They've never had rules. They've never had support. They've never had roommates. They've never had a house manager. They've never had to, walk down the street, knock on a door and try to shake someone's hand and say, hey, can I be helpful? Can I rake your yard? No one's had to do that. And so or some people have never had to do that. And so I imagine, in some of the sober living homes and settings, it can be difficult, sometimes. And so I guess I just applaud you guys, and, you guys are doing an awesome job. And within our agency here, our MHA Recovery, MHA Sober Living, we're really blessed and lucky to have people that are, in recovery themselves, working. Like, it doesn't get any better than that. I can tell you that right now. A lot of places don't have that, somebody that has been through the process, and I'm in that same situation. I've gone through the process and still learning and trying to learn some more.
What I like about what you're saying is sober living is we can be anywhere in that process, right? We can be on the front end, we can be in the middle, we can be on the back end. You can come back and start all over again. The only, there are some small minor limitations. I think we've done 4 denial letters.
Our biggest thing is we don't shoot our wounded.
Yeah. And we're cheap, right? Where it costs someone to go to treatment, it costs them $30,000-$40,000, right? It costs us $75 a day, and that's high. You know what I mean? It costs us $75 a day for someone to get sober, and you stay with us for a while. We're going to have a lot better outcomes than a lot of other. I mean, if we're talking about actual data, sober living is going to improve on your long-term recovery. Like you're literally investing every day you stay in sober living. You're investing in your recovery. Like you're putting another day towards ensuring that long-term recovery. And yeah, again, our buddy Estel Wallace, one day we were trying to talk someone into coming to treatment, And I could tell he got tired of it, and he had this book, this big blue book, and he slid it across the table and said, there's a free version of this, right? And this guy owns a treatment facility, and it was just like, we all bite from that same teaching. We all have a purpose that's all encompassing, right? Everything from the minute we wake up, and we bring that in work. Sometimes we got to take that hat off, you know what I mean, and get down to business. But yeah, it's I love what we do here. I really do. I love it every day.
You were talking about you mentioned data and successes, and I forget what it's called, but like basically nationally, and we all know that the longer you stay in sober living, I think is it like 8 or 9 months, then your chances of staying sober kind of dramatically increase. What's successful in your guys' eyes for somebody? Is it to stay clean for 30 days or a year, or is successful entering sober living and gaining employment, or what's successful in your guys' eyes? Because I know that answer can change and it's different for everybody, but maybe you guys can try to land on a general success. What is being successful?
It's funny we talk about success.
I think we've battled this one a few times. Like we've changed it to where, people come in. Well, I shouldn't say that, but we've had it to where like, we require you, there's requirements, right? We require you to get into a 12-step program, reach those goals in the 12-step program, 6 months. I mean, and then I think it changed to like where you come in and then you give us some goals. And what are you expecting out of sober living? Are you trying to get your kids back? Are you trying to get a job, maintain, sobriety? I mean, some people, it's been a...
I mean, we put markers out there, right? Like when you come in, like, let's get through your restriction. Let's get through restriction. We have a 90-day marker, which is you should have your, whatever, there's 12-step programs out there that you could choose from. Employment, like those are all... Overall, with success, it's tough, man.
I think our average has been 6 months, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you said 8 to 9 months, which I know is a national level for people that have stayed sober, or that have stayed in the sober living. I think like 9 months is, but we've had success.
Yeah.
But we've had people too, like who have committed to 6 months and have actually stayed longer. The 6 months is kind of, I've noticed is what the gel has given people, EDO, they do it. They check the boxes and, then we sign the letter that they have successfully completed prior, because that's what their court order is, right? So they completed their court order. We deem them successful, of course, if they do the 12-step program that they're supposed to be doing, if they get the job, we do add on to it, but
it's hard to quantify. I mean, and we've been asked this cunning, baffling, thing that we're up against. I hate to do that. I hate to be like, oh, this person's a success, and just check in. You know what I mean? If that person is checked in, or if that person is checking in and doing what is required of them, they're successful. And I mean, as an organization, success for us is how long are you staying? What's the average length of stay? And that to me is important as an organization. And annual birthdays, like how many for an organization, if someone off the street or is asked, well, how many, we have a lot, man. We have close to 50 just this year alone, 50, and that means 1 year of continuous sobriety. That's successful, and all those things. I hate it. I think we all hate it. That's why we can never come up with a solid, and we've been given a directive even, like, I need you to, clarify what success. I mean, there's a lot. We do sit down and we do have successful discharges,
right.
But it's a conversation that we make a decision together, like,
And I think it points to the balance we actually do here. It's 50-50 logistical, but also spiritual.
Right.
Or there's relationship, there's intangibles that we do. They say it's a big buffet table. Who's to say that peanut butter and jelly is not the greatest sandwich you've ever had? Steak and lobster, but quality of life. But and now also the heartbreaks we get, we go through. We're planting seeds. This is what's available to you if you want. And we all know that's a door that must be open from the inside.
Yeah.
And I think that's the struggle we have.
And maybe that is the success, when they do go out and fall off, that they call us back. Maybe that's it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe they're like, I'm ready to try it again. Then technically we've been successful, So, maybe that's it.
I thought for sure Big Man was gonna say, "Well, you're successful when you get all your teeth back."
Yeah, that's mine.
Remember, Big Man's shirtless and toothless at one point.
Right.
Yes.
That's a piece of it.
I had to change my whole life to get new teeth, by the way.
I'm working on it. I got half mine back, so I'm halfway there.
Yeah, you're almost there.
Okay, I have another question for you guys. So we're staffed up. We have sober livings in nearly every community. We're nationwide, not international yet, but we're national. What role are you guys playing? What role do the sober livings play in the community? Meaning like, I know I see you guys doing. You have like a mission during Thanksgiving and Christmas. Is there anything else you guys do in the community? And can you guys touch on that, please?
Yeah, so we did Big Man, myself, and Dougie, right? We created a 501c3 that we brought back, an organization that is like plays an active part in our recovery.
Okay.
Just to touch on that, what you're talking about there, that it's called Knights. We're a warrior organization.
Okay.
It comes from the lineage goes back to an individual in Arizona that we've had the privilege. Big Man's such a freaking trailblazer. Like I've followed him for my life changed because of this individual. He was the first one that taught me that sobriety, just being sober ain't enough, right? It's an inside job, and those teachings, I think, is what makes sober living our sober living, right? I can't talk about other sober livings, but we're our flavor, our vibe is that, like you said, when you guys came back, we brought back this accountability piece. Who's your sponsor, and what's your home group, and why aren't you sponsoring? Why aren't you giving this shit away? And there's so many one-liners with this guy. Why aren't you sponsoring, you selfish asshole? Like, we take. And Tiffany touched on it. Like that's kind of what we're doing. That's our goal in our community, is we're giving a bunch of people who we're taking our community members and switching and helping them make that switch and giving it away, right? And finding people like in the community. Our sober living, we have a 24/7 knock on our door policy where if you have someone that needs some help, right, you just come knock on our door. Come knock on our door and here's a link, fill this application out. And it's free. And that person doesn't stop doing that when he leaves sober living. It's the opposite. He doubles down on that. And we're not hundreds anymore, we're thousands. We're thousands of individuals who have come through this door, and we're giving this stuff away. And it's so much. I'm trying to like thread this needle, and
I feel like it would be like to say that we hopefully are making our communities feel safer by having our individuals who are sober now, and they're not seeing them on the streets or getting in trouble or robbing, or, you know what I mean? Doing what we do in active addiction. So hopefully our sober livings can provide that, to make people around them feel safe. I don't think we've ever gotten a call about any of our houses and people feeling unsafe. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if there's ever been a phone call of people worried about, us sober living on the res, or, they know that they're sober, right? Our families see us when we're drinking or we're high, and they don't feel safe around us. But when they see us when we're sober, I would hope that they would feel more safe with our knowing that these guys are getting the help that they need.
Golden Eagle got the award.
Yeah.
Got recognized.
Right.
That's amazing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they say, and like one thing too is like cool is like what it started, how it started. You know, one thing that was huge for me that pulled me towards Big Man and pulled me towards Scott, you know, is that the culture piece. You know, this piece that started with singing. You know, I always, you know, I thought, you know, there were some things that I would never get to do again. Staring down sobriety and changing my life, and there were some things I closed the door on, and because of this organization, I'll just say it, because of this organization, you know, we get to help people open a lot of doors and get back in touch with some things they never thought that they'd ever get in touch with. You know, we've started a couple of drum groups in Sober Living. We've connected, you know, culturally in our communities. Three of our Sober Livings have Sweat, you know, and regularly with the help and guidance of the culture program and some of the individuals there. And so that's, you know, we're like a fireplace in the community. You know, they come and warm up. You know, come and suffer with us a little bit, pray with us, laugh with us, and again, it's that we want people to want that. You know, like that feeling in the office when we were at Scott's house and there was 40 of us in this little tiny office. Every single one of those individuals wanted to be there, and they would fight to get in there and get a spot, so they could be in there and be a part of what it was and what it is that we're growing. And it's still like that downstairs, right? Like, and we want that. You can't just come. You can walk in the door and get a bed here, but to come in and sit with our staff, like you got to kind of earn that. You know, we don't. You got to get some sobriety and work on this and be active in it and earn your bed, and you'll get here. You know, and it's awesome. We've been doing this for years now, right? We've been doing this for closer to a decade.
Right.
You know, and it's. We were talking about it in our staff meeting this morning. Like, we're evolving. You know, right? We're always changing. We're updating our rules, and we're trying to. I don't know if we have this goal, this overall. You know, we're gonna be happy with this. You know, I don't think that'll ever be a reality. But we're trying to evolve into this, but still hang on to what it is that makes sober living. MHA Sober Living.
I think this says it a lot too, right there. Just people, you're sending your family members to us, you know, so we must be doing something right, you know?
You know, one of my favorite things I like, so when in Arizona, man, Jarrett used to take us to eat, you know, and I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I'm old, and, you know, I covered everybody by about 15 years, but for me personally, it was just this thing where I got to sit with five guys, because it only was 4 of us or 5 of us. And he'd do it every day, sometimes once a week, but we'd have this moment where we'd all just sit and visit it. And even for me, being an older guy, to sit with all the guys and joking and laughing. And it just brought to me a sense of family, or a sense of camaraderie, or a sense of brotherhood, a sense of just this, and, you know, just a beautiful, powerful thing where we just gather together, eat something. You know, simplistic, and that's our way. That's our, you know, I'm sure it's the world's way, can't, you know, start. But for natives, it was just a beautiful thing that I believe it was a part of, for me, was the cement that binded us together.
Right.
You know, beautiful thing.
Yeah. How I feel about it, me personally, you know, and professionally, you know, you had mentioned your nights. You know, just seeing, I think you guys do a Thanksgiving like you're just like I said, giving back. I'm not sure if you guys do something for I thought I seen something during Christmas, and just seeing your guys' participation and activity in our community. That's the biggest thing. And then just, it seems like I always see Sober Living members at different things, not even recovery things, you know. Of course, you guys always are participating and helping in different events, different segment happenings, doings. Like you said, you guys have now you see these boys with the drum group out there, you know. That's what it's all about right there, is that getting back into community, not even getting back into this is some of just the first time people are part of our community, you know. To me, that's like you mentioned something about Justin, like that's what it's all about, you know. All this, you know, all the efforts and support from our tribal council and all that stuff. That's the that's the goal.
I know ultimately we all have the same mission. Don't want to separate anything, you know, my mission, Big Man's mission, your mission, you know, it's just to help people, to help our people, you know, give back, you know, something that was given to us and just to be of service any way that we can. And I know our houses do that, you know, the nights with their Christmas and Thanksgiving and even more than that, you know what I mean? Those are just like things that you see. And we send, you know, our women into the kitchen for funeral services. You know what I mean? Just anywhere that we can be of service to be helpful. You know, I mean, I think that's just an ultimate mission is just to be helpful wherever.
We have events too, right? Not as many. But you seem like we're doing one. We do have coming up in the summer. We do our barbecues. You know, we have some barbecues, sober living barbecues.
Recovery on the plains.
And we have recovery on the plains coming up. And
When are we gonna meet?
working on a gas, some star power this year. Besides Big Man will be there. But we're working on someone. Should be pretty cool. We do. I think what's cool, and I always try and explain this to people is like we're broadcasting, you know what I mean? Just like this podcast, you know, we're broadcasting a message and how I walk, how Big Man walks, how Tiffany walks, you know, we're all in recovery and the individuals in sober living, when they're out there back in their communities, like it's free advertisement for us. Like it's like, oh, you're sober? Like, yeah, I'm sober. Like, what'd you do? Like you know, and it's this process like Tiffany talked about. It is an all, you know, there was a point and there was a point where I believed that, you know, we did everything and like this without, you know what I mean? But this organization that we're all a part of, you know, MHA Recovery as a whole, you know, 3 affiliated tribes, the recovery organization that we get to take part in, like we're all integral. We all play an important part. You know, on the front end of Good Road, I had this employee, and she was, and I read her post for our sober living page, and I just remember it hitting when she said, you know, I went to Good Road and I got some, you know, I got some recovery time and I was able to get some sleep. And however she said it, it was powerful to me. I was like, you know, I can do without. I cannot do this without Good Road. I cannot do this without point of contacts. I cannot do this without our intake team. I cannot do this without Dr. Joy going to war for us. You know, and you know, especially with, you know, the trust of the council and the community. It really is just this. It's a team game, you know, like we're all playing in this team game and no one's more important than the other. And I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm very egotistical and you know, I always believed that we couldn't do it or we could do this by ourselves. And the more that I work, the more that I'm a part of, you know, it takes this involvement from everyone. So
We're kind of like the now what, right? You go to treatment. You do the treatment for, you know, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and then it's now what? Well, sober living, right?
You know, I think the world's watching, and I love how when we go, you know, 5 guys all just going to meetings and, you know, just doing this crazy thing. And but as we have evolved and grown, there's the question of what if somebody wants to do this?
Right.
Can we recreate? Because there's other people I've seen all the time where they're asking, how are you doing that? What is going on? And as much as, you know, we know that we have policy now.
Right.
And when we had
have
that,
rules.
I remember I was so against it.
So it's like policy
you know,
procedure.
tell me what to do. And nobody was telling me what to do, but I still, I'm a defender of the people. And, you know, but then these things happen. And today I see it.
Right.
Like I've evolved into this, like, wow, that's because somebody's going to want to do what we've done. And hopefully we have documented enough that we've learned enough that we can hand this off and say, here, this is how we did it. Good luck. One of my favorite stories is Alkali Lake, 98% that town sobered up. And I know Jared he loves, that's his favorite story of Alkali Lake. But we have something really beautiful here that is to be, and we can't just say, oh, it was a fluke.
Right.
No, actually, we put thought into this. We work as a team. These are the things that we need. These are the places that it's a beautiful thing. We have to know these things. So
Miracles happen all the time. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy to see, because we can see somebody walk in the door and be like, they're not going to make it. And they end up being the ones that make it. You know what I mean? So it's just, we implement the rules, we implement, the structure, and things just happen the way that it happens. So somewhere along the line, a miracle happens. And I mean, so it's just, it's good that we have policy and procedure. And I was the same way too. I was against it, like, this is dumb. Why do we have it? Like, we have something that works, but I mean, it does protect our program. It protects our individuals. It makes our houses safe. I
feel like this has been a very helpful, awesome podcast to have you guys up here. I feel like that's the whole purpose behind why we're trying to have this podcast, is to a lot of people out there, they might be uninformed, they might be missing out on this. They might have somebody out there that's struggling, having a hard time, and they have no idea that all of this is all available. I know we've been going for about an hour and 15 minutes now. And the thing about it is there's more here. I know you guys have more. There's more to the story. I feel like we've today has been kind of a overview of the sober living program. It just, and there's more to it. You guys have, when you guys talking about the genesis of the program, you guys mentioned Jarrett Baker and some of the ones that were there in the beginning. And, myself, I want to hear more. I know there's more funny stories.
All kinds of stories.
All kinds of stories, and so, like I said, this is going to be how I feel about it is this is going to be a continued conversation. This was an overview today. Really insightful, really helpful, awesome podcast. Do you guys have anything else you want to share? Anything you guys want to share?
Yeah, if you need help, we have a hotline.
Okay.
Right.
701-421-8869. You can reach out to any of the houses.
Right.
We have a process, but we will not refuse you. There's an application process, but certainly if you need it, you want a new way of life, you want someplace safe, we're available.
We also have our point of contact hotline phone number as well, 701-421-3312. Like we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, we appreciate all the support here at the Morningstar podcast. If you guys can keep an eye out for our Facebook and YouTube and TikTok, we're just our whole goal for our social media presence is to try to spread awareness. We're just trying to share information with our community and family and individuals that are that might be in need, and also with those people that are working in the same recovery, health, and wellness field as we are. And so we sure appreciate all the support, and just ask you guys to just keep an eye out for our next episode. And so that's all I want to say. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
In this life we live free, yeah. In this life we live free, yeah. In this life we live